Welcome to the Lecture and the Tattle podcast. If you ever take a minute to just watch a construction crew laying down a new sidewalk in the middle of a busy city, there's this really incredible, almost magical window of time.
Oh, yeah, right after the truck pulls away.
Exactly. The concrete pours out and it's just completely fluid. It's soft, it's gray, it's totally malleable. And in that, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20-minute window, you can literally write your initials in it with a twig.
Right, or step in it if you're a careless kid.
Yeah, exactly. You can press an autumn leaf into it, or the workers can use a trowel to mold it into pretty much any shape or angle the architect wants.
Because at that exact moment, it's just pure potential. It hasn't decided what it's going to be yet.
Right. But if you leave it alone for just a few hours, like if the sun beats down on it and those chemical reactions happen, it becomes completely unyielding. It literally turns to stone.
It sets.
It sets. And if someone walked right through the middle of the wet pour, well, you are just stuck with those footprints forever. The window of potential is closed.
You can't just smooth it over with a trowel anymore.
No, you absolutely cannot. You have to bring in a jackhammer.
And anyone who's ever heard a jackhammer knows it's loud, it takes a massive amount of energy, and it's a really deliberate, violent disruption to break apart something that has already set.
It really is. And I think that sheer violence required to undo hardened concrete is just this perfect, if slightly intimidating metaphor for what we're getting into today.
Absolutely.
Because today we are taking a jackhammer to the financial footprints that so many of us have just been stuck with for decades. We are doing a deep dive into this incredibly eye-opening book called It's More Than Just Money by Witness Mdaka.
Yeah, it's a fascinating read.
It really is. And I want to set the expectations for you right out of the gate here. This isn't going to be, some dry, boring lecture about balancing a checkbook or clipping coupons.
Definitely not.
We are talking about fundamentally paradigm-shifting conversations. We're exploring the actual mechanics of escaping the rat race and building true generational wealth, starting from wherever you are standing right now.
And I think what makes Mdaka's approach so compelling is that he doesn't just handing you, a sterile list of blue-chip stocks.
Right.
He's not lecturing you about arbitrary savings rates.
Yeah.
He is actively decoding the underlying psychology of wealth.
Yeah.
He outlines the exact strategies you need to transition from the mindset of a dependent employee to the mindset of an autonomous investor.
Which is huge because
Yeah.
if you think about your own life right now, that desire for financial independence, the urge to just break free from that grinding anxiety of the 9-to-5 commute.
Or the panic of an unexpected medical bill.
Oh, man, yeah. That is such a universal human experience. So our mission for this deep dive is to extract the most powerful, actionable advice from this text so you can start reshaping your own financial concrete.
Which brings us right back to the author's central analogy. Because Mdaka explicitly compares the human mindset to that sidewalk pour.
He does, and it makes so much sense when you feel financially stuck. Like when we're young, our minds are exactly like that soft concrete.
We're totally willing to explore wild ideas. We think we can be astronauts or billionaires. We don't understand structural limitations at all.
Right. But over time, you experience setbacks. Society tells you what is, quote-unquote, realistic. You give in to fear, doubt, the pressure of a 40-hour work week.
You take on debt.
You take on debt, and the stress of that debt just accelerates the drying process. And suddenly, your mental concrete sets. You start believing your current income bracket is just a permanent fixture of your identity.
But he makes a really crucial distinction here. The human brain is only figuratively concrete.
Right, neuroplasticity.
Exactly. It can always be rewired. You just have to be willing to endure the noise of the jackhammer. And the main tool he uses to break apart that scarcity mindset is something he calls the 80-20 rule.
Okay, let's unpack that.
So he makes this really bold claim that 80% of financial success is entirely about mindset and strategy, and only 20% is the actual technical skill.
That ratio is kind of shocking, honestly.
It is, especially today. I mean, we spend so much of our lives and so much of our money obsessing over that 20%.
Oh, yeah. Massive student loans, degrees, short courses.
Right. We convince ourselves that if we just get one more certificate, one more software skill, we'll finally be wealthy. But Mdaka argues that without the 80%,
the mindset,
the right psychological framework and strategy, all those skills are just dormant. They're potential energy that never converts to actual wealth.
Let me try to contextualize this because I want to make sure I'm wrapping my head around it. To me, it sounds like someone deciding they want to be a Michelin star chef.
Okay.
and they go out and spend $20,000 on the most exquisite, state-of-the-art Japanese kitchen knives. They have the best tools in the world, which is the 20% skill.
Right, the technical tools.
But they have absolutely no recipe, no understanding of flavor profiles, no idea how to source ingredients, or how to manage a chaotic commercial kitchen during a dinner rush.
Which is the 80% mindset and strategy.
Exactly. You can have the sharpest blade ever forged, but if you don't know what dish you are trying to make, you're not going to make a meal, you're just going to chop your own fingers off.
That's a perfect way to visualize it. The strategy dictates the how and the why behind the tools. Mdaka points out a common scenario. Imagine an employee and an entrepreneur with the exact same technical skills.
Let's say they're both graphic designers.
Sure. The employee's mindset, their hardened concrete, tells them, my employer determines my market value, my salary is the absolute ceiling, and my only job is to stretch that money to cover my bills.
Okay.
But the entrepreneur's mindset says, no single company dictates my earning capacity. This salary isn't a ceiling, it's just the initial seed capital I'm using to fund my actual wealth building.
Same 20% skill, totally different 80% destiny. But, okay, I have to push back a little here. Because claiming that success is 80% mindset borders on that really annoying philosophy we see everywhere online.
You mean the toxic positivity stuff?
Yes. Influencers telling you to just manifest your wealth. Just put a picture of a Ferrari on a vision board and think good thoughts. I mean, if you don't actually have the skills to run a business, all the good vibes in the universe won't build a property portfolio.
Right, and that's the exact trap people fall into when they hear the word mindset. Your skepticism is totally valid, but Mdaka is not talking about passive, new age positive thinking.
Okay, so what is he talking about?
He's advocating for an active, aggressive strategy born from a specific worldview. Mindset isn't a mood. It's the cognitive lens through which you calculate risk, identify opportunities, and deploy capital. It's an analytical framework.
Ah, I see.
And to construct this, he asks the reader to look at 3 specific lenses. The first one is literal. What spectacles are you wearing?
So your foundational worldview.
Exactly. If you wear blue-tinted sunglasses, everything looks blue. In finance, are you wearing scarcity lenses? Do you believe resources are finite and everyone is trying to steal your piece of the pie?
Where failure is just fatal.
Right. Or are you wearing abundance lenses where you understand capital is fluid and what most people call crises are actually just lucrative opportunities waiting for a solution?
Okay, that makes sense. And the second lens is consumption, right? What goes into your mind daily?
Yes. The text makes this fascinating point. If you spend 5 years reading rigorous business books, studying markets, your brain naturally starts looking for business applications everywhere.
But if you spend those same 5 years consuming negative news,
Doom scrolling.
doom scrolling through economic panic, you breed a strategy motivated entirely by fear, you play defensive financial football your whole life.
Which sets up the third lens beautifully.
It's so sweet.
Association. Who is physically surrounding you? Mdaka is blunt here. Cowardice is contagious, but so is courage.
We become the average of the people we spend time with.
Exactly. If you want to be a millionaire, find someone who has done it and mirror their behavior. If you spend all your time with stagnant people who just complain about the economy, your mental concrete will set into that exact same shape.
You cannot out-strategize a toxic peer group.
Never.
So let's say a listener takes this to heart. They take the jackhammer to their old beliefs, they put on the abundance lenses, they stop doom scrolling. The immediate temptation is going to be to rush out tomorrow, kick open their manager's door and scream, I quit, I'm an entrepreneur.
Which is exactly what Mdaka strongly warns against.
Why? I mean, if you have the mindset, shouldn't you take action?
Yes, but you have to finish before you start. Which introduces his concept of the blueprint.
The principle of don't start unless you have finished. It sounds like a paradox.
It does, but it's deeply practical. You have to build the entire architectural blueprint in your mind and on paper before you lay a single physical brick.
Like the biblical analogy he uses.
Right, from Luke chapter 14. Building a tower or a king going to war. You don't just randomly start digging a foundation without sitting down and calculating if you actually have the capital and stamina to finish it.
If you act purely on emotion, you end up bankrupt with a half-built tower.
Exactly. Quitting your job without 6 months of runway and a registered LLC is haphazard action. And to fuel the stamina for purposeful action, you have to understand your own internal drive.
Which brings us to the lion and the gazelle analogy. This was one of the most striking visuals in the whole deep dive for me.
It's from a classic African proverb.
Mm.
Every morning, a gazelle wakes up knowing it must outrun the fastest lion or it gets killed.
And the lion wakes up knowing it has to run faster than the slowest gazelle, or it starves.
Right. The moral is, whether you're the lion or the gazelle, when the sun comes up, you better be running.
But the psychological nuance here is brilliant. The gazelle is running away from something. It's running from death, from a negative outcome. But the lion is running towards something. It's running towards a meal, towards a goal. And his argument is that we need a combination of both energies inside us to succeed financially.
And he's incredibly vulnerable about his own background here to illustrate this. He grew up in a marginalized township. He suffered the trauma of losing his brother to street violence, and he grew up without a present father.
So for the first part of his life, he was the gazelle.
Exactly. He was running away from the suffocating grip of poverty, away from societal stereotypes. That terror is a massive, high-octane push.
But you can't build a legacy on just fear. Eventually, you outrun the immediate danger, and if you only have gazelle energy, you just stop running. You need a pull.
Right. Once he secured baseline survival, the lion energy had to take over. He ran towards uncompromised excellence, towards providing choices for his children. You absolutely need both the terror of the gazelle and the ambition of the lion to sustain decades of wealth creation.
And to keep those two extreme energies from making you spin out of control, you need a stabilizing force. He credits his high school teacher, Mrs. Montambo, for this. She called it sober thinking.
I loved this part.
Yeah, she told him it doesn't matter how far you go, you will always find someone doing better than you and someone you are doing better than. It just keeps you grounded.
Because early success can literally be intoxicating. If your first business clears 100 grand, you lose your peripheral vision. You throw away the blueprint and start relying on arrogance. Sober thinking anchors you.
So if you're listening to this right now, take a second. What is the thing you are desperately running away from every morning? Is it debt? Is it the fear of not affording health care for your parents?
And is that fear currently stronger than what you're supposedly running towards?
Exactly. You have to map that out because once you understand your drive, you can apply it to the ultimate blueprint. And this is where the book just flips conventional wisdom completely upside down.
This is probably the single most powerful paradigm shift in the entire text.
Because most wealth gurus tell you that having a job is a trap. But Mdaka says if you have a job, you are already, technically, an entrepreneur. Let's really break that down. To most people, being an employee is the exact opposite of being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs take risks, set hours, keep the profits. Employees clock in, do what they're told, get a fixed check. How are they the same thing?
It circles back to that 80% mindset. Look at employment stripped of all the emotional baggage.
Yes.
You are an entity providing a specific service-like accounting or coding in exchange for financial compensation.
Okay.
Therefore, your boss is not your master. Your boss is simply your first customer.
Wait, your boss is your client?
Yes. They identified a gap in their business, and they hired you as an independent service provider to fill it. You are a business of one, and your employer is your anchor client.
That reframing is it's incredible. So an employee mindset sits in a cubicle thinking, my boss is exploiting me, this paycheck is my limit. But the entrepreneur mindset in the exact same cubicle thinks, this salary is guaranteed revenue for my primary client to fund my real ventures.
Exactly. And it changes your behavior massively. If your boss is an exploiter, you do the bare minimum. But if your boss is your client, you naturally deliver exceptional customer service.
Because good service lets you negotiate higher rates. A raise.
Right. Then you take that extra capital, stabilize your life, and acquire a second, third, fourth customer outside of working hours.
And he outlines a genius step-by-step mechanical hack to actually transition from an employee to a formal property investor without even quitting your day job.
The Trojan horse strategy.
Yes. Let's walk through the exact plumbing of this because it sounds like a magic trick, but it's just really clever accounting. Let's invent a listener named Sarah. Sarah works in HR. What exactly does she do?
Okay, so Sarah immediately registers a formal business entity, like an LLC. She opens a dedicated business bank account, even before she has a product to sell.
Right.
Then she channels her everyday household expenses through this business structure. She doesn't just dump her salary in there, that's messy. She sets up the LLC as a household management company.
So the money she was already going to spend on groceries, electricity, internet, the gardener.
She injects that cash into the business as a director's loan. The business then officially contracts with those service providers.
Hold on, I can hear people asking, how does a business build credit if it only has expenses and no external revenue? A bank won't give a loan to a company that just buys groceries.
but it's about establishing trade lines and a flawless ledger of cash flow. By routing thousands of dollars through this entity consistently every month, the account shows steady transaction volume. You are teaching the entity how to manage cash.
Oh, wow.
And Sarah can start a micro-hustle like consulting on weekends and route that small revenue in too. Mdaka says to do this religiously for 3 years. On paper, you now have a living financial entity with 3 years of banking history and 0 defaults.
That's why I love the term Trojan horse. From the outside, Sarah is just an employee paying for Netflix. But inside the horse, she is secretly building a corporate financial fortress while she sleeps.
And the payoff is huge. After 3 years, Sarah doesn't go to the bank as an individual asking for a personal mortgage. She goes to the commercial lending division as a corporate director, using the business's credit to finance an investment property.
She puts tenants in it, they pay rent to the LLC, and suddenly she's a W-2 employee, a corporate director, and a property investor.
Seamlessly.
It's a structural masterpiece. But let's deal with the reality on the ground. Building this requires capital. A lot of people are sitting in their cars right now thinking, Sarah's strategy is lovely, but I don't have a single cent left at the end of the month. I'm broke.
Mdaka anticipates that perfectly. He's very pragmatic. He outlines 3 actionable steps for people on a razor-thin budget.
Okay, step 5.
Step 1 is the absolute baseline. Cut down your current expenses slightly, not a starvation diet. Just do a forensic audit and find a tiny margin, like the equivalent of $100.
Skip 2 premium coffees.
Or buy generic groceries, or pack a lunch 1 extra day a week.
But how does skipping 1 coffee buy a commercial property? It sounds too small to matter.
Mathematically, it won't buy a property. But psychologically, it is the most important step. It breaks the mental concrete. It proves to your subconscious that you do have agency over your money.
You move from being a victim of expenses to an active manager.
Exactly. Then step 2 shifts from defense to offense. Increase your current income. You don't need a tech startup. Monetize what you have. Rent out a spare room. Start a weekend repair service.
He even suggests moving out of your own house if you're drowning in the mortgage, right?
Yes. Rent a tiny apartment, turn your house into a long-term rental, and let tenants pay off your debt. It's about looking through clear spectacles.
And once you create that margin, you hit step 3, which is his budgeting formula, the 10-10 rule.
Right. So from every amount you earn, the first 10% goes to your financial freedom fund. This is sacred. You only use it to buy active, cash-flowing assets.
Stocks, equipment, real estate down payments.
The second 10% is long-term savings or passive investments, your safety net. And the final 10% goes to charity or tithing. Plus, he advocates for an education fund and a play fund.
I'm really glad he includes the play fund, because if you just grind without rewarding yourself, you'll snap and go on a spending binge. You have to release the pressure.
Definitely. And to show how this works, he tells the story of Uncle George.
The insurance salesman.
Right. Uncle George was charismatic, incredible at selling policies, but his fatal flaw was trading his time for money. If he didn't physically sell, he didn't eat.
His 20% skill was world-class, but his 80% strategy was flawed.
His wealth ceiling was limited to 24 hours a day.
So how does George decouple his income from his time? He needs to become the team owner, not the star player.
Exactly. He needs to teach his income to live without him. He should take his capital, start a formal brokerage, hire junior agents, and take an override on their commissions. If George goes on vacation, his business is still writing policies.
That's the shift to true business owner, which ties right into how Mdaka attacks scarcity habits. He is absolutely ruthless about conspicuous consumption.
Oh, he hates it. Buying things just to look wealthy. He says, do not buy a designer Gucci shirt if your net worth is 0. You don't need $300 Tom Ford cologne for a meeting.
A cheap can of drugstore deodorant works just fine for not smelling bad.
Right. Taking out loans to look rich destroys your ability to actually be rich. He uses the 3 Toyotas versus 5 luxury cars analogy.
Let's break that down.
A truly wealthy person might drive 5 luxury cars, but only because the passive income from their assets pays the leases. Their active salary isn't touched. Another millionaire might drive 3 paid-off Toyotas because it fits their expanded means, allowing them to hoard cash for more assets.
Live comfortably, save the excess, buy assets.
Not liabilities to impress people you don't even like.
Okay, I have to jump in with some hard pushback on the 10-10-10 rule, specifically the mandate to give away 10% to charity.
It's the most common objection.
Rightfully so. Look at the math. If my rent is $1,500, groceries are $400, and my total income is $2,000. If I give away $200, I literally miss a utility payment. Why am I giving money away when I'm functionally broke?
Mathematically, you're right. Giving away $10 delays your investment goal. But remember, wealth is 80% mindset. When you're broke, your brain operates in a state of constant low-level panic, high cortisol.
Tunnel vision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You only focus on immediate threats, which literally blinds you to long-term opportunities. Giving away money violently interrupts that scarcity loop.
Oh, so.
When you hand someone $5, you send a physical signal to your primitive brain. You're telling your nervous system, I have enough to survive, I can help others, I'm not in mortal danger.
It's like biohacking your financial anxiety.
Yes. It fosters a physiological sense of abundance. Your brain relaxes, regains its peripheral vision, and fosters the creativity needed to spot market gaps or negotiate a salary.
Scarcity makes you blind. Giving opens your eyes.
And practically, if you are short on rent, scale it down to 1% or give your time. But the habit of giving is non-negotiable.
So making these daily choices, packing a lunch, cheap deodorant, giving when it hurts, it requires a rock-solid foundation, which brings us to the 5 daily habits of successful people.
Habit 1 is spirituality. Recognizing we are spirit beings capable of generating original ideas. Successful people make a daily habit of physically acting on ideas, not just letting them fade.
Habit 2 is health and wellness. And it's not just about looking good. He says forcing yourself to exercise for 15 minutes a day builds immense internal self-confidence.
Because if you can keep a small, uncomfortable promise to yourself to work out, you prove to your subconscious that you can keep a promise to stick to a rigid financial budget.
That's the compounding effect of discipline, which is habit 3. Just the willingness to put in the hard work consistently. He mentions his neighbor, Pete.
Pete,
Yeah.
a self-made millionaire who farmed into his 70s. He thought retirement, just sitting on a beach, was a myth. The discipline of creation was the reward itself.
Habit 4 is social capital. Treating the overnight cleaner with the exact same respect as the CEO. Arrogance burns bridges before they're even built.
And habit 5 is financial literacy. Making money a daily habit of study. Don't just think about money when you're drowning in bills. Study it when you're calm. Understand good debt versus bad debt.
Good debt buys assets, bad debt buys televisions.
Exactly.
And to drive this home, Mdaka shares the story of his grandmother, Mama. This story puts all our modern excuses to absolute shame.
It's the emotional core of the text. Mama was a street sweeper for the city. Grueling physical labor, earning barely 2,000 Rand a month. Absolute poverty wages.
But she had a titanium 80% mindset.
Through extreme frugality and hustle, she took tiny margins from sweeping and started side businesses. She made 15,000 Rand a month brewing beer and renting out backyard rooms.
And she couldn't read or write English.
Not a single word. But she understood cash flow better than most MBAs. She retired to a large house she financed and built herself.
So, audit your last 24 hours? Did you practice any of these 5 habits? Did you exercise? Read about finance? Are your habits a liability or an asset?
And once you master these habits, the game changes. It's no longer just about your own survival. The focus shifts outward to generational wealth.
A lot of people think generational wealth is just for the Rockefellers or tech billionaires. But Mdaka gives incredibly simple ways beginners can create a financial floor right now.
You can create generational wealth tomorrow morning. Cancel a $50 cable TV subscription and buy a massive term life insurance policy. That one move creates a 6-figure inheritance instantly.
Draft a will.
Yes, keep your assets out of the state's hands. Start a company owned entirely by a family trust to protect your real estate.
He also treats marriage as a vital wealth-building strategy. He says to marry, and I want the legal term right, out of community of property with accrual. What does that mean for your assets?
If you marry in community of property, you merge into one entity. If your spouse goes bankrupt, creditors can take your house.
You share the downside.
Right. Marrying out of community of property keeps pre-existing assets separate. The with accrual part means wealth built during the marriage is shared if you divorce, but individual assets are protected from each other's creditors. It's a defensive moat.
Statistically, married couples accumulate way more wealth. You pool resources, cut housing costs. He tells his daughter to look for a man who understands cash flow, not a man with a big house.
A mansion is a liability without cash flow.
But his advice on teaching kids about money is revolutionary. He hates giving kids an allowance for doing nothing. He says create separate household companies for them.
An extension of the Trojan horse. Say you have 3 kids. Child 1 is managing director of the grocery account. Child 2 handles electricity. Child 3 handles the internet.
You pay these companies the bill amounts plus a profit margin and teach the kids to physically pay the household bills.
They learn accounts payable, receivable, and margins at age 10. Give them a small $50 credit card to pay off with their salaries. When they turn 18, hand them the shares of an LLC with flawless credit history.
It's experiential learning. He learned this when his mom gave him full control of her bank account and 7 rental tenants at age 18.
And he failed spectacularly. He went clubbing with the rental income. But his mom didn't just yell. She called a formal family meeting, presented the accounting of every wasted cent, and legally demanded the money back.
He had to work to pay off his own mother.
A harsh, agonizing lesson, but it permanently forged his discipline.
It's like teaching your kids to drive in an empty parking lot using real cars. The stakes are real, but controlled. If they crash, it's into a plastic cone at 5 miles an hour.
And passing down that resilience brings us to the ultimate thesis of the book. Purpose, serving others, and true wealth. Money is just a byproduct.
He says the desire for significance is God-given. Accepting mediocrity just to appear humble is false humility. It keeps communities impoverished.
True purpose is usually found at the intersection of what aggravates you and what excites you. If dilapidated schools aggravate you but real estate excites you, your purpose is building profitable businesses to fund rebuilding those schools.
He leans on Zig Ziglar. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want.
Wealth is tied to service. The magnitude of your bank account reflects the scale of the problems you solve. Want to make $100, mow a few lawns, want to be a billionaire, solve a massive global problem.
Scale and magnitude. Selling time for money is a prison because time doesn't scale. Building systems that serve people without your physical presence, that is true freedom.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up, I want you to reconsider your entire week. View your current job not as a cage, but as a fully funded laboratory. Your boss is paying you to learn how to serve people on a larger scale.
It changes the dread of Monday morning. You're going to your training ground.
What a journey. We started with rewiring the concrete mind, the 80-20 rule. We debated the lion and the gazelle. We unpacked the Trojan Horse LLC strategy, the 10-10-10 rule, daily habits, systemizing household expenses for kids, and aligning wealth with serving others.
It's a battle-tested blueprint. But before we sign off, there's a fascinating, almost terrifying question here. If creating wealth depends on serving others and solving problems, what happens if everyone actually listens to this?
Oh, wow.
What if millions of people break their mental concrete, stop being passive consumers, and become active value creators? If everyone is building systems to serve everyone else, does our global economy break or evolve into a society of abundance rather than scarcity?
That is a wild, paradigm-shifting thought to mull over.
Yeah.
A world of active value creators. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Hope tomorrow morning you look at your salary slip through crystal clear spectacles. Remember, the concrete of your mind might feel solid, but it's only figurative. You can always bring in the jackhammer. Until next time.